Africa is rising, and this is not the kind of rising you are familiar with.
France and the United States government needs to back off from any attempt to remove Captain Traore from office. Forget about your plan. He's our own. He is doing exactly what the people of Burkina Faso and many other African countries wish their leaders were doing for them.
Africa is claiming its full independence, not only on their land, but also what beneath their land. You see, after the failed coup in Burkina Faso that sent shockwaves all over the world, Ibrahim Traore did not only arrest the orchestrators of the coup, he went on ahead and planned for the future. He decided that not only would he try to counterattack another coup attempt, but he would bring into Burkina Faso a military revolution instead. But in order to understand what I am talking about, let's fast delve back to the 1950s with this lady here.
Between 1958 and 1961, France did something absolutely horrible. France made the Francophone African countries, and I don't even want to use that terminology, but I only use it for the purposes of conversation. The 14 countries which were formally, but still colonized by the French, they were forced to sign a document that they called the Pact for the continuation of colonization. You heard me. The Pact for this continuation of colonization. If you want your independence, you must sign this. Guinea, Secretary said absolutely not. Mali said absolutely not. France, pack your bags and go on back home. France could not believe it. Could not understand that an African country, these monkeys, do not want to be affiliated to France. They said, we will show you. So history tells us France went into those two countries, took everything that they thought they had brought to those two countries, including the last teaspoon and chair, proceeded to pour concrete into the sewage pipes, completely devastating the two economies. The then newly appointed president of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, in his efforts to rescue these two economies, created the first ever union of any African states, Ghana, Guinea, and Mali. But what that did was it made the other African countries realize that if they go against France, this was the fate that was waiting them. So what did they do? Wait the paper. And they signed. What did the pact say? One. The pact said, you monkeys, you don't know how to manage your money. So you shall deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Central Bank under the control of the French Minister of Finance. And that France is going to take your deposits from the individual countries, pool them together, invest them in the French stock market under the French name. And you, monkeys, you may or may not know the returns. Latest figures are showing this is still going on since 1958. France today is collecting out of Africa over $500 billion before investing. And when they finish investing this money, for every 14 billion out of Africa, they're recognizing over 300 billion. Now do the math. So when it's actually said and done, France is taking out of Africa trillions of dollars every year, and we, the poor Africans, are gladly giving it to France. And the same France has the audacity to look at us and call us poor people.
Foreign powers call Africans and their land poor. But what I don't understand is why they do not want to leave these poor Africans alone. You see, literally, Western tech, or precisely the 21st century, is powered and run by African minerals. Minerals like magnesium, zinc, copper, and gold that end up in Apple products, Tesla motors, and all kinds of machinery. Now, the problem isn't that our minerals prosper Western tech. No, because we as Africans also consume these products, and they have brought a big difference in communication, logistics, health, and making life easier in general. The problem Africans are trying to address is foreign powers trying to control them on their land, over their resources, over their wealth. When he assumed power 2 years ago in a coup, Ibrahim Traore kicked out foreign influence out of Burkina Faso and even went ahead to restore control over mining sites to state agencies. And that is where foreign powers started to fund and organize coups to overthrow Traore and restore one of their own puppet as the head of state. For years, the West has always used Africa as their chessboard for their geopolitical game in the world. They fund insurgents and militia groups with litter weapons. In turn, these local wars destabilize African governments, forcing them to sign oppressive deals and contracts with the West for peace in their country to prevail. You might ask, how is this possible? African countries have armies and forces that can fight these militia groups. Then how come they do not fight back? You see, before Ibrahim Traore assumed office, Burkina Faso forces often took days, sometimes even weeks, to respond to terrorist attacks. Why? Because they lack weapons. Reports say that at some point, Burkina Faso borrowed weapons from neighboring allies, but still, when the Burkina Faso forces got there, the damage had already been done. But here is the twist. Most African countries do not manufacture weapons. They rely on Western powers to sell them weapons. It is projected that in 1 year alone, Africa spends more than $20 billion to buy weapons from Western powers. But not only weapons that are associated with ancient technology, weapons that the West don't use anymore. These are the same weapons given to terrorists to attack citizens of the land. If you deeply think about this for a minute, then you will realize that these attacks will never stop unless someone is broad enough to change course. After many failed coup attempts, this is where Traore did the math. Gold isn't just a commodity, it is gold. And gold is a big name. Now that I have gold, I will use 30% of the country's gold revenue to invest in locally manufactured military gear. This way, I will be able to locally manufacture bullets and drones in an effort to advance self-reliance as a sovereign nation and advance rapid response capabilities and counterterrorism operations. But what do you think this means for the people of Burkina Faso? 10,000 indirect jobs will be generated, feeding millions of people across the nation. This is the main problem with the DRC. The country has a wide range of mineral materials. The ones companies like Samsung, Apple wouldn't go a day without, but they don't invest in their military infrastructure. That is why they cannot defend themselves against external attacks. When a country 10 times smaller, the DRC is funded to fund a militia group to conduct a proxy war. And this is the trap foreign powers have put African countries into. But reality hits you when you try to untrap the trap. You are labeled as a dictator, a corrupt leader who is a direct threat to the people, the way they are trying to do with Ibrahim Traore. But long gone is the traditional global order.